What's up, guys? This is Bradley. I wanted to tell you about a company that I really like, ePayPolicy. They completely saved my tail on a case last week. As many of you know, I started my independent insurance agency with a lot of questions, concerns. I didn't know what I didn't know, and that proved true when I wrote my first agency-billed homeowners policy. I write this policy, and the client tells me, all right, let me pay you with a credit card. I'm like, how do I take a credit card payment? And guess what, guys? Square and PayPal, it's against their terms of service for you to use it for an insurance premium. God forbid somebody pay you and then you end up not getting that payment. So in came ePayPolicy. They completely saved the day for me, got me signed up within 24 hours. They provide the simplest solution for your agency to collect credit card and ACH payments while finally putting a stop to chasing those paper checks around. I don't want to be in the collection business. I want to be in the insurance business. With ePayPolicy, you pass the processing fees on to the client, keeping your bottom line intact while providing an added convenience to your clients of accepting digital payments. The page that you send the client for them to make the payment is branded and tailored to your agency. Mine has my logo. And when it comes to reconcile, their accounting dashboard keeps the process clean and simple, and they integrate with all the major management systems, including mine, at no extra cost. Look, they know how busy you and your clients are. They provide the simplest solution for your agency to collect credit card and ACH payments while finally putting a stop to chasing paper checks. There's no contract, no setup fee, and no hidden costs. It takes less than 5 minutes to sign up, and they'll have you up and collecting digital payments within 24 hours like they did for me. Give ePayPolicy a call or hit them up online at ePayPolicy.com and let them know that the insurance guys sent you.
Insurance agents from around the world, welcome to the Insurance Guys podcast. My name is Scott Howell, your fearless host and leader, insurance agency owner and insurance evangelist for I Protect Insurance and Financial Services, based out of Huntsville, Alabama. And before we get started on today's episode, please help me welcome. He is a 6'3" sophomore from Saraland, Alabama, parade first team All-American, Rivals 5-star recruit. He is a fantastic insurance agent and a great American. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and welcome the incomparable Mr. Bradley Flowers. How are you, Bradley?
Great, Scott. How are you today?
Man, I'm so happy. I'm like a kid at Christmas that just got a Huffy bicycle. You know, we've had a lot of people on this podcast, and we talked to a lot of folks, and I don't know that there's many people in my life that mean more to me than the guests that we have on this podcast today. Guys, stop what you're doing, pull over on the side of the road, close your office door, get out a pen and paper, because everything this guy says is like spitting gold. And for all of you guys that are like, oh, well, I'm this agent and I'm that agent. No, stop right there. Stop what you're doing. I'm telling you. This guy, I can't think of any other agent I would rather have on the podcast, because literally he's the epitome of success, of doing things the right way, helping. He's probably helped more insurance agents than anybody I know, and he's always available to help folks. It's really unbelievable, and I am so honored and blessed and humbled to call him a friend of mine. I'm actually starting to get emotional, so I'm going to stop. So without further ado, he was born and raised in Stafford Springs, Connecticut. He is a graduate of Anna Maria College and a board member at Journey Found in Manchester, Connecticut. We may talk about that. Owner and CEO and president at Paradiso Insurance. He was on episode 36 and episode 11 of the Insurance Guys podcast. He is one of the best thought leaders in the insurance industry among independent agents. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my profound honor today to introduce to you the godfather of the independent agency channel. I give to you Mr. Chris Paradiso. How are you, my friend?
Thank you for that amazing introduction, my friend. Couldn't ask for a better introduction. Wow.
Meant every word of it. Don't want to start crying, so I'm going to leave it at that. But all of it's the truth, man. Bradley and I left you a couple years ago at your agency, and there's been so many things that have happened in the insurance industry since that time. And, you know, for me, it seems like we were just up there yesterday because so much has gone on. But I just wanted to get you on the show today to share a lot of things and talk a lot about a lot of different things. So since we left Stafford Springs, tell our audience kind of where you've been and what you've been doing. I don't want to make you go all the way back again and get in my DeLorean, but just talk a little bit about what you've been doing in terms of your business and any other thing that you want to talk about for just a minute.
Really, I would tell you the biggest focus has been one thing. It's what can we do here at Paradiso Insurance with our data? That is by far the biggest thing, the most time consuming that we've spent focusing on. We are in a very, very good place. And in the next 30 to 60 days, I believe it's less than that. But I am very comfortable saying that in the weeks to come, we will be fully up and running with our data program. And what I mean by that is we've been running our data program for several months, but it's manually running it from a spreadsheet to then send it over in an email to get the data back. In the next couple of weeks, it'll be running where it's running like a hamster on a wheel, and it'll be running internally in our management system, and we will be having live up-to-date data reports on, basically what we're mining for and what we're trying to generate out of that in order to build a better agency, write better business, and to help on errors and emissions.
Let's deep dive if you can, and
Sure.
please, I don't want you to have to say anything that's maybe proprietary or anything.
No.
But if I'm one of these agents listening to this right now, I'm thinking, what does he mean exactly by when he says data? Yeah.
So you give me 4 minutes. I'm going to give you a minute on each avenue. There's 4 avenues inside of our data program. And there's 4 avenues.
And I've been trying to get him to show me this for months.
And here I am, and he's going to show us.
So 4 avenues. The first avenue we're going to talk about is good business. And I'm very cautious on how I say that because carriers and agencies, I think, have a difference of opinion when it comes to good business. I'll leave it at that.
Right.
Good business to an agent is finding the best possible premium with the best coverage, whatever the carrier, because we don't make the prices, right? And being able to place that business and write that business. As we see with combined auto expenses out of 109, 110, there's been some issues and some temperatures run with auto insurance. Commercial, personal line, doesn't matter. So we have worked on a system for good business, which means we are going to be we're going to take that avenue. Remember, I told you there's 4 avenues. And we're going to split off a couple streets off of this one avenue, which is good business. And off of that is going to be behavior data. And the other data is going to be coming financial data. So with good and bad business, I can tell you if I want to write good business, Scott Howell calls my agency. We're going to be able to understand Scott Howell through a data bank, which we're running and saying, Scott Howell scratches lottery tickets on a regular basis. We know that is a high risk behavior, is not a good risk. Scott Howell smokes cigars, not routinely, but regularly, because we can get that data purchased through specific areas that we go to get that data. Mm-hmm. Scott Howell likes motorcycles and snowmobiles. He has both. Once again, high risk, not always bad risks, because let's take just a quick step back. Scott Howell likes a Harley Davidson. He doesn't like a Honda CBR 1000. Right. CBR 1000, much higher risk personality in person versus a Harley Davidson. So it's going to give me that data to tell me behaviorally, are you a good or bad risk? Avenue number 2 is going to give me data. I'm sorry, not avenue. Street number 2 is going to give me data on Scott Howell's expendable income. So Scott has a lot of expendable income. That's good. That's favorable. Scott Howell now has a good insurance credit rating. Okay. So when we take this and we take the demographics of the area through the data, we can come up with a score that's going to say Scott Howell's a good risk or a medium risk or a poor risk based on behavior data, financial data, and geographical data. Also, obviously, including in there is going to be driving habits. You have speeding tickets and things of that sort. But behavior data is something that's not being used, I don't believe, to the fullest extent. Can you imagine if I could be able to get detailed information that you scratch lottery tickets on a regular basis? That in cigar smoking on a regular basis are some of, along with filing a bankruptcy in the last 24 months, are some of the highest risks for bad Those are risks we don't want to write. That's avenue number one. Okay. Any questions?
None.
I'm trying to take data and turn it into insurance lingo versus talking at that 10,000. Avenue number two is the renewal, what we call a loyalty score. A loyalty score is a score that's based off of our data system, okay, is going to go inside of our management system, okay, and read notes, listen to phone calls, because if you have VoIP, all of your phone calls are recorded, and then we are plopping them into the management system.
Right.
So it goes and it reads that. It's going to read how many touch points. So every time we mail something out, whether it's a birthday card, a thank you card, thank you for filling out a survey, every touch point that we handwrite needs to be put in the management system. It's going to be, which it's not, but it's close to being integrated with one of the best tools that agents should be using, which I talk about all the time, Rocket Referrals. Rocket Referrals, that data is going to be merged into the name of the company we're using is Arias Analytics, which absolutely an amazing company. So all of that's going to be in there, and it's going to, and it's not going to stop there. It's going to go through social media. It's going to find out on Facebook. Oh, Scott Howell, you're a client of mine. You liked 100 you gave me 100 likes on Facebook posts, but you commented 55 times. And it's going to create a score on how likely Scott Howell is going to renew with me. Very, very, very powerful tool.
Yes.
Avenue number three is it's going to mine what I call the diamonds in our backyard. So it goes through the system, and just to give you a couple examples of what it did to my data is they went into my data, they found 24 mobile homes that had been moved from the location we insured them from. They handed me those 24. We contacted those 24, and we found out data analytics was right. They did move them, and they never contacted. Most people said, I didn't realize I had insurance. It's insuring the property, yes. But if you're in Vernon, Connecticut, it might be different than being in Collin, Connecticut, or Avon, Connecticut. Most people don't realize that. Most people just don't think of it. It's not them being ignorant. They just don't think of it.
Right.
So it doesn't stop there. It then goes and it mined, and it said, we did it in the last 4 months. It said 96 people had gotten engagement rings out of our book of business. It hands me those 96. How powerful is that for you, knowing that we better be reaching out to those clients and saying, hey, Scott, you recently got engaged. We've noticed that we saw that on LinkedIn or we saw that on Facebook.
Right.
Now, I know it freaks people out when I say, how do you make that call? Well, everybody places it everywhere socially. If they didn't place it out there, I mean, you're just paying attention. Or we're having data scientists pay attention and pull that data. It didn't stop there. It went into how many people purchased cruises. But now we can go sell cruise insurance. We have somebody that handles that, or travel insurance for international, gave us the international flights. So it took the diamonds, as I say, in the backyard and just brought them to the ground so we can see them. We just got to go pick them up, make the call, and make the sale. That's avenue number three. Last avenue, number four. The avenue number four is all about new business. So we all want to talk about new business. I took avenue number four as new business because I think it's what everybody focuses on with data. And you can do everything from go on the social platforms to create ads. There's a multi-million different things you can do data to go and drive new business. So very, very, very key point. There's 4 avenues, and that's what we're doing. And that's what I've been focused on.
On that note, one of the most asinine questions I see online from insurance agents is, should I friend request my clients on Facebook? If you don't have this, like, what a better way to know what's going on in their life and reach out to sell them some more insurance, or just to say, hey, congratulations.
You are absolutely right. What are you ashamed of that? You shouldn't be putting garbage on social media. Social media, first of all, we need to stop treating it, as Gary Vee always says, like a 19-year-old dude trying to score on a first date. And social media is about a relationship. It's about trust. You need to treat it with respect. And you should absolutely engage with your customers. You should friend request your customers and build an honest relationship with them.
Well, we should also stop treating social media like it's not real life. Certainly, it doesn't have as many dimensions as dealing with Chris Paradiso one-on-one in person, but the things that are happening online are real life. And in a lot of ways, everybody being online right now because they're home is bringing the world closer together. Even though we're further apart, we're closer together.
Yes.
What do you think about that?
I think it's a fact. We are closer together more now than ever. It is. Social media has brought and opened up the world and brought the world into our living room. I don't know if you realize all this data talk has all come from social media. I was reading recently about how people laughed at Gary Vee. Ha 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 ha! I paid Gary Vee made a statement that the owner of Facebook $4 billion for Instagram 6-7 years ago, and they laughed at Gary Vee, told him he's an idiot. Because Gary Vee said, by far, it's the greatest and best investment ever. 5-6 years later, it's now worth $74 billion. Nobody's laughing at Gary Vee now, are they? And it's all data. Chris, it's all data.
Like Scott and I, this is the 5th podcast we've had today. I just did some quick math. The closest person to us was 528 miles. My grandparents or even my parents wouldn't be able to have a face-to-face conversation with most of the people we've talked today, especially someone in Stafford Springs, Connecticut. I mean, come on.
And I talk funny compared to you guys.
And that's okay. When I get around Scott, my redneck accent comes out.
That's right.
Not that Scott's a redneck, but.
Hey, Chris.
Yes, sir.
I want to ask you a question going back to your 4 points that I thought were unbelievably great, by the way. When it comes to the new business part, the 4th leg of that, can you tell us a little bit, and I think I probably need some help with this in my agency, but what are some of the things that you're doing as part of that element to this to bring in new business? I mean, I know a lot of what you do myself because of our relationship, but kind of talking to the agents that are listening to this right now, what are some of the things you guys are doing? And I know right now is probably it's an anomaly where we are today, but I'm talking about, if this was a normal Wednesday, what are some things you guys are doing to bring new business in the door?
I think, and I'm not gonna shake up the world by giving you this first answer. I just think when you listen to people like Roger Sickens, who literally, I spoke at his event 2 weeks ago, and I sat there and I'm like, he's talking about stuff like right in front of our nose. Have you ever you drive the same route to work, you drive by something and somebody starts telling you a story and you're like, where is that? And then you find out, oh my God, I drive by that every single day.
Right.
The number one thing every agency should be doing. We're in times that we've never had before, whether you're in these times or not. Why do we not call quoted and not sold?
Right.
How do we get new business? The number one thing we talk about, we were just talking before we started recording, what are some of the questions? Well, everybody wants social media to generate and drive business. Well, one thing that doesn't happen is you don't sit in your office and the phone just magically rings.
Right.
It doesn't work that way. And we are hyper focused about being a proactive agency, not reactive. And what I mean by that is, yes, we are very aggressively social world, but we are also, for example, today, talking about running the last 5 years, not sold, and every single one of our licensed personnel, teammates, because the phones aren't ringing at the same volume due to the times, right?
Right.
We're going to call and we're going to ask them and we're going to talk to them. First, talk to them as a human being. Hey, Scott. Hey, Bradley. How you doing during these times? It's human to human, right? H to H. Isn't it about checking on people? And it starts there. And then you can move into, hey, I'm giving you a call, Scott. I haven't earned your business in the past. I tried. I'd love to earn it again. I know it's unprecedented time. Times are tough. People are struggling. Coverage is very important to me, but I know you need to save some money. Everybody needs to save some money. We are going through some tremendous times. You give me the opportunity to see if I can work hard for you to earn your business. It's just a real-to-real call. And, some people say stop selling. I don't say you start selling. I think you start being human. I think it's all about relationship. It's all about trust. And some people say it's just not the right time. Okay. I still am calling to check on you. And, it's about being a good human being. And I think that's so critical. I firmly believe in karma. People can say, oh, you want to go bash this. I don't have time to bash people. I don't have time to get negative. Karma takes care of itself. Before my mom died, just one of the last things she was talking to me about is, karma never dies. So being a good person is absolutely critical in your life. And she's right. karma never dies. And if you think, going and talking smack or doing something negative is going to get you anywhere, it's not going to happen.
Chris,
Cannot agree more.
Every time I do one of these podcasts, all I think about is how can we help all these agents that are listening to this? Because I always want them to get off the podcast and take one or two things and go implement them in their offices that will help them, obviously. You and I were talking before we got on the show today. You do an unbelievable job with these Paradiso presents. You're going all over the country. You're for next to nothing putting on these events that are helping insurance agents, independent agents, some of whom are friends of mine who I talk to about what they get out of that, and they tell me that it's just invaluable. So on behalf of all of them, I want to thank you for doing that.
My honor. We work in the best industry, Scott, and it's because of people like you guys. I mean, look at the stuff you guys are doing. It's not, people say that, oh, Chris, you give. There's so many people. It's not about Chris giving. There's so many other people that are just giving back too.
Yeah.
It's about giving back to an industry that, I kind of like saying thank you for serving in the military. I know you're a proud Marine, and my best friend's a proud Marine. And we thank you for that. It's from the bottom of our hearts. When we give back and we want to go and we want to do a workshop, I get as much out of giving than I do get.
Right.
And I get as much out of this as from the first times you called me and when you landed here and you came out, you're like, I can't believe you let me come in. Well, we both can learn from each other. Just because you were newer doesn't mean that I can't learn from you. Right. I can absolutely learn from you. The most valuable person in my life for insurance has been Bob McCool out of New Empire Group down in Long Beach, Long Island. The guy has done nothing but give to me, and I try to give as much back to him, and he says I have, but just a wonderful, wonderful guy. And he looked me in the eye and he said, just as we want to give to our communities. We love our communities. Independent agents are the most given people in the world. There is no better industry, and we are looked at, I don't know if you realize this, we are looked at worse than car salespeople and attorneys. And to me, it kills me because I look across and I see claims like a house fire. You know who's there? Damn it, we're going to be there. I'm going to cry with you. I'm going to look through that rubble with you. And not just me. 99% of the other agents are going to show up at that fire and do the same thing that I'm doing. And that's what we do. That's why I believe in giving back to an industry that gives so much to me and so much to community. And you want to talk about making America great. Independent agents make America great every day.
How did we get that image? How did that happen?
I think it gets worse because of the big boys. You see the lizard, 15 is going to save you 15. Speed and saving money. And nobody's ever told me when they called me at a time of a claim, how much am I paying for insurance? Right. How much did you save me? It doesn't come to that. Mm-hmm. It comes to, when it comes time to delivering a check or being there for you and giving you a hug, there's nothing worse than saying, I'm sorry, there's no coverage.
Right.
Or there's not enough coverage. It's terrible. One guy that's come extremely close to me is a local fish store. I love these guys. My son is a fish junkie. We have fish all around the office now. Fish.
Mine has turned into one as well. He fishes every day.
Every day. My son not only fishes every day, he has fish tanks everywhere. And we called him to do an annual review. Something we do at Paradiso Insurance, thanks to Agency Performance Partners. Almost 5 years ago, we started calling every single client every year to do an account review. 3 weeks prior, we called my good friend at Wet Pets, Donald. I said, Donald, not me, but one of my staff. Hey, you have $50,000 of business personal property. We highly recommend you bumping that up. How much, and he says, I have about 200,000. Well, we ended up bumping it up to 135 or 130 because that's what he could afford. He says, I'm still struggling. I get it, and we bumped it up. 3 weeks later, he had a total fire, totally destroyed everything. And he said, and he still says to me today, as he was just in the other day and he bought another policy from us, he says, no, you do not realize, and he's 30 years old, how valuable, how you saved not only my Heine, but my two young kids' Heine, because I do what I do and I love what I do. There's no way I could have survived with 50,000. It wouldn't even have covered,
right?
Not even the fish tanks, never mind the fish. It just reminds me of why we call every client to do an account review, to do the best we can to educate, not sell, educate.
Hey, Chris, I've got a question for you relative to that. Because you and I have talked about this before, and I can't remember your answer to this. Every client in your office gets an account review every year, correct?
Every single year.
Right. How is your office set up relative to producers versus account managers to enable that to happen so that you don't have what most of us have, which is we don't have time to do that? That might be the best question I've ever asked, by the way.
It is. I agree. I was thinking that.
And you know, the funny thing, I had a very close friend of me say to me yesterday on a phone call, I can't afford to call every client.
Right.
I can't afford it. And I'd like to say to those, you can't afford not to call every client every year. You can't afford not to. And so inside of our agency, what I like to consider our agency is like a baseball team. What is a renewal specialist? The renewal specialist is a good communicator who is all about education, right? I'm not going to sit here and BS you and tell you a renewal specialist should be the best salesperson, because the best salesperson is the person who's up at bat every single time. So we structure our agency, renewal specialists are renewal specialists. They don't take new business. They don't do new business. The only new business they do is to account round. That's the only new business they do. Our professional hitters, like I call Derek, I want Derek Jeter at bat every single time. That is our best salespeople. And those people, salespeople, yes, they are in-house salespeople. They're salespeople. They are there. They're more aggressive. They're hungry. You know when you meet a good salesperson, right? There is a difference. I'm not saying one's better than the other. Right. Every role is drastically different. You want somebody more caring, more educating. A salesperson, you need to have, and I live in Connecticut. I always say I'm in a sandwich between Massachusetts and Boston, Mass, and New York. And I tell everybody, you know what we are? You either eat or be eaten. So we're pretty aggressive, and our salespeople are hungry people. They are very good at selling. Our renewal specialists are very good about building relationships, communication, and education is number one. So it is drastically different. We evolved with the help of agency performance partners. I never thought we would be able to call when people say to me, hey, I only call people that get a 15% or a 10%. Well, what happens, and we had this, and we used to do this 3 years prior to starting all this. So the last 4 to 5 years, we've been calling every single customer. What if for 4 or 3 years in a row, you took a 9 or an 8% increase? That's almost a 30% increase over 3 years. That would never hit your radar. You wouldn't call them.
Right.
That to me is crazy. And I always say, hey, I know some agents are going to get mad that I say this because I've gotten some hate mail, and I'm okay with that. Winston Churchill says, you have enemies, good, you stood for something in your life. And Winston Churchill sits right on my desk right here. But I always say this, and I say this, please just listen to this, and whether you agree or don't agree, that's okay. When you go to a restaurant and you order a meal, and Scott, you order a drink, and you order a second drink because now the meal's taken an hour and a half to get to you. You decide, I'm leaving. Do you pay for the meal, or do you pay for just the 2 drinks that you drink? You never take the meal. You get up. You're done. I'm not waiting any longer. I'm done. I've been here an hour and a half.
Just pay for the drinks.
I would want to pay for the 2 drinks.
Okay.
Yeah.
I pay for the 2 drinks. Think about us. Think about Chris Paradiso, Paradiso Insurance, taking Bradley Flowers renewal every single year and not calling him.
Right.
I personally feel I'm stealing from Bradley. But I'm not only stealing from Bradley, I'm cheating the insurance companies. Because if Chris Paradiso sits at an insurance company and I say, what's a true partnership? True partnership is we're going to do our job to educate the carrier on what type of risk we have. Mm-hmm. What happened if Bradley bought a pit bull 2 years ago and I didn't call him?
Right.
You think the carrier has a right to be mad at me? I think so, because I got paid a renewal and I didn't call. So why I tell that story is because we really, really believe that here at Paradiso Insurance. We're getting paid a residual income. We got to earn that. Right. And how we earn that is calling Scott and Bradley and saying, hey, let's do an account review. We do the same account review with every single client. Obviously, personal lines, commercial, different. If you have fire dwellings, different. They're structured different. But if you have just a renter's policy with me, I still owe you a call because I still make a residual income. It's just my personal belief.
Chris, do you call midterm or do you call 45 days out? What is your...
We used to call 60 days out, 45 to 60 days, depending upon how many. Sometimes we saw that when we got down anything below 45 days, our retention dropped. So we know that the biggest retention drop was from day 44 or closer. Once you got to day 30, it dropped like 4 to 5 even more points, drastically changing. So what we went to is when it downloads, We call people on the download now. Never thought we would get there, but we've been doing that for about a year and a couple months, and it's been great.
So how many days out is the download?
Every carrier is different. When it gets downloaded, we contact the customer.
Okay.
We know that they'll get the mail within 3 to 5 days from that download time.
So it's the renewal download that triggers the call.
Yeah.
So are those renewal specialists that are calling, do they kind of double as service CSRs as well?
Yes.
Or do you have enough renewals to take up all their time?
We have enough renewals to take up all their time. There's no question. But they do have to service when service is heavy. We run different hours. We run from 8:30 to 5:30 are the legal hours. Phones are usually ringing at 7. I'm always in no later than 7 unless I'm traveling. And we do have Saturday hours, and we stagger the way the people come in. We do have, Saturday is a very busy day, so we are open 6 days a week. And now we have an incredible agency app with the newest updates, which is goinsuranceagentapp.com, which has been tremendous. And now our clients have all of their data because it's hooked up and integrated with Luxoft.
Mm-hmm.
They have all of their information in there, which is tremendous because more and more people are communicating through the agency app. And I believe the next step is something that tomorrow morning, Bradley, you're going to be on a call with us. And Scott, you are welcome to join us. A product that's coming from Israel, a tremendous product that's going to help commercial service without having a human being. And it's all about the chat world, but it's all about the service chat world. And a lot of the chat bots have failed miserably, in my opinion. Just my opinion. I'm not always right, because they're so focused on new business and they fumble over things that it makes you so angry. It's like Alexa. Have you ever had Alexa and you say, Alexa, turn down the sound. It's too loud, and it doesn't listen to you. And you're like, you want to kill the thing.
Right.
So that's what chatbots have. And I believe this is going to change the way certificates are done in our office, and clients are going to be able to, within minutes, basically create their own. And it's going to run through our management system, because a lot of people want to self-serve themselves today. And why don't we allow them to? Just like
Right.
We're working with a couple carriers now that clients can create their own ID cards. So on Saturday at 5 o'clock, if we're not open, they can just punch in the year, make, model, and VIN number, hit submit, and their ID card pops right up. They can hit email if they need to email to the agent or to the person selling them a car, or they can show it to them in however they need to do it.
Hey, Chris, last question, and I got to move off. I've got one final question after this I want to talk with you about. As far as your renewal specialists go, account managers, are you running pairs, salesperson with a renewal specialist, or how do you do that?
No. Almost like individual departments.
Okay.
The sales training is different. Everything about it is different. From the follow through, it's different. When you have a client, so for example, some people are going to, I'm going to give you my email if people want to ask me questions. As soon as we hang up the phone because we couldn't connect with you, Scott,
Mm-hmm.
we have an email templated, and we just pop your name in there, and boop, it only takes a second. And now there's an email basically telling, hey, we left you a phone message to your renewals coming up within the next 45 days. And we would love to do an account review with you. Here is my information. Please give us a call back. If we don't hear back from you, we're going to reach out to you 5 business days.
Got you. Last
Chris,
question.
something I've always wanted to ask you.
Go ahead, Brett.
What is your training process like for a new hire, specifically salesperson?
So I am an enormous believer in State Auto's Pacesetters program. So that's one thing that I would highly, and if you want the best in the business, Diane Matheson is the best trainer there is in the country, flat out. There is, you want to talk, I believe she was, and she could have been a Marine Corps drill sergeant. And I don't mean it in a bad way. Scott, you know what I mean. They're disciplined. It's almost like a horse in a race, right? With the blinders on.
Mm-hmm.
It's very focused, and it's going for what? Boom, it's goal. She is dynamic. And when I specifically say, Diane, will you take a young lady or this gentleman, as a student, a part of your program? And I think that is first and foremost. I would also say another really cool tool that I would love to see you guys do is something that Mike Stromso has got me on, and he is my accountability coach. I've done it a couple of years, but this is the first year that I've had an accountability coach. And it is by far the best program I've ever done. It's Darren Hardy. It's a workbook. It's called Living Your Best Year Ever. You want to talk about getting to your goals, not only your life goals, your personal goals, your business goals, your agency goals. And it's probably the best rounded, I say sales tool, because you're selling yourself. You're holding yourself responsible for everything. It is just tremendous.
And you said Diane was with State Auto, is that right?
State Auto, and it's called the Pace Setter Program. There are other great sales tools, all depending upon their sales experience. If they've had no insurance sales experience, I would say there. I think Roger Sickens has some great sales training for both inexperienced and experienced. I love his stuff more for a mid to an experienced person, but Roger has a great. I have several of my teammates that work with me and for me in Roger Sickens' program. I love it.
Last question of the day, Chris, and we talked briefly about this before we started. So we're doing Paradiso Presents. You're traveling around the country. You're meeting with independent agents, a lot of whom listen to this podcast. As I said before we got started, I am quite positive that every place you visit, you kind of see the same questions and the same issues crop up time after time after time. What are some of the, call it opportunities or issues that you see independent agents that bring to you at Paradiso Presents that you can cover today on the podcast and just kind of go over?
The first thing is everybody asks, it's almost like I know the first question, I need more new business. I need more new business. Okay, let's back up. Have we identified, and I love to have people fill out a persona. If you don't know what a persona is your ideal customer. Because I have 36,000 cars drive by my main street here a day. Anybody a prospect?
No.
And I think praying doesn't work. I think you need to really understand, take a persona, and anybody that wants one, I can email them one. Identify, write out your persona, which you should have 4 to 5 personas, which these personas will help you identify 4 to 5 ideal customers for your agency. Every agency writes different business. 4 to 5, not more than 5, not less than 3. 4 to 5 personas. Fill those out. And then what we do is now we're going to plan an attack to identify, for example, if I want to write home, I'm not chasing the person who has just auto insurance. I want a family who's a business owner who has 2 homes. Their first house is somewhere local here in Connecticut. Their second house may be by the ocean. Why the ocean? The ocean property and evaluations and insurance premiums are substantially more. The houses are substantially more. So the umbrella is going to be higher. One of them, whether it's the husband stay home and take care of the kids or the wife, there's one of them to stay at home. They send their kids to private school. So that is all about filling out a persona. And then what we're going to do, we create the persona, and then what we're going to do is create a plan of attack. How are we going to identify those types of customers and clients? We can use data now because we do a lot of geographic, so we know what the household incomes are in certain areas. So once we identify that, we can create a strategy to go after that. So That is by far, everybody wants new business. If you're an agency and you've been around, the first thing that I would tell you, if you don't know what a plan of attack and you want to wake up tomorrow or an hour from now and say, I want to go after new business, the first thing I would do is run a report. Anybody that has one policy, only one policy with you, I'd call them. Anybody with 2 policies, I'd call them. Because if you have one policy and let's say you have the home and you don't have the auto, call for the auto. If you have 2 policies, home and auto, call and try to get an umbrella. If not an umbrella, what about life insurance?
Right.
What about a jewelry rider, a floater policy? What we need to do is we need to stop thinking about customers and start thinking about clients. In our words, a client is somebody that has at least 2 policies with us. It's a client. A customer is a fly-by-night, that somebody has 1 policy with you. They may be here today, but they're probably going to be gone tomorrow. And statistics prove it. So that's question number 1. If you're looking for just that question, are you looking for more?
Yeah, give me one more, and then we'll...
I would tell you the number 1, another top question is, I have a website, but I don't get any leads from it. I would tell you today, easiest tool to help you understand your traffic that's coming to your tool, Hotjar. I would put Hotjar on my website today. as soon as I stop listening to this, I put Hotjar. And you can get a 2-week trial right now for free. And a Hotjar is going to put a heat map. So where my eyes go, it's going to show you, it's going to record, and it's going to tell me, Bradley's, what he's looking at on my website. And every time I move this mouse, it has another screen, and it shows where the mouse is going. Because what you don't realize, including myself, that I learn weekly as my marketing team and I talk about this, we do not realize how hard certain types of information on your website is to find.
Right.
You think it's easy because you say auto insurance. Oh, it's right here. When you see prospects stumble, you start to change your website, and it's been probably the best tool we're using in 2020 by far.
That's amazing.
Bradley
Bradley just signed up while we were talking. Well, Chris, I could sit here and talk to you for 3 hours, and insurance agents from around the world, if you didn't get anything out of this podcast, I don't know what to tell you to do. I mean, all he's done is spit gold for an entire hour.
Before we go, can I just give a shout out, not only to independent agents, there's guys like Bob Klinger out there who are veterans like yourself, Scott, from the bottom of my heart. Bob is a Purple Heart recipient. Not because he's just a Purple Heart. He's a diehard. He lives as a veteran, helping support other veterans. Bob McCool's a veteran, Vietnam veteran. And there's so many independent agents out there. And I don't want to just give the shot to the independent agents who are veterans. I want it to all the veterans, but in those serving, from the bottom of my heart, I cannot thank you enough. Please, 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 if you do one thing on Friday, please wear red. Red stands for Remember Everyone Deployed. And just take a picture and hashtag Red Friday. It's not about you. It's about supporting the men and women overseas. And when we do that, we're showing them that we love them, we appreciate them. I go for a run every day, and I stop at the memorial to give thanks for those that have died. And, if you do one thing, gratitude right now is key.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Scott, for your service, and every one of the independent agents that have served this great country. I owe you, and I just want to say thank you.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, and I know they do as well. Well, Chris, I'm going to go ahead and shut this thing down. Guys, remember what I always say, rewards come from action, not discussion. I hope you got something out of this today that you can stop this podcast and go implement in your agency. I don't know that there's anybody in the world of insurance that's helped more agents than Chris Paradiso has, and I don't think any of us can thank you enough for what you do. But, guys, like I always say, get your ass out from behind that desk today. Go build relationships. Call on your clients. Play offense, not defense. It's time to play offense right now. Offense sells tickets. And we've got to help our insureds right now get through this terrible time that the country is going through. We're at war right now. And as I said after the last podcast, we live in the greatest country in the world. And we will kick coronavirus's ass before this is all over with. So hang tight with us. We've got some more of this to go through, but once we get through it, I expect the captive and independent agency force to come back as strong, if not stronger than they've ever been. And we just got to go reach out to all of our clients and let them know that we're here for them. And Bradley Flowers, I love you, brother.
Thanks, man. Thanks, Chris.
Guys,
thank you.
Guys, you were listening to the Insurance Guys podcast, and we'll see you back here real soon. Take care. Thanks for listening to the Insurance Guys podcast. If you need to know more about me or you need to get in touch with Scott, you can always reach me at theinsuranceguyonline.com or email me at iprotectins@gmail.com. And if you need to get in touch with Mr. Bradley Flowers, go to bradleyflowersinsurance.com or email him at bradley@saralandinsurance.com. Guys, we love you. Thank you so much for listening. We look forward to being with you again real soon on the next episode of The Insurance Guys. Take care.